The 7 levels of acting ability explained. Level 1. Trash. Steven Seagal. Steven Seagal is living proof that you can have an entire Hollywood career without ever learning to act, as long as you know how to squint and whisper in slow motion. He exploded onto the scene in the late 80s and early 90s with martial arts hits like Above the Law, Hard to Kill, and Under Siege, where he played a mysterious tough guy who spoke softly and snapped necks loudly. At first, audiences thought he was cool. Then we realized he just couldn't do anything else. Every Seagal movie feels like deja vu. Same black jacket, same ponytail, same emotionless delivery. He talks like a man who just woke up from a nap he didn't want to take. You could show someone Under Siege and Exit Wounds back to back, and they'd think it was the same movie, just filmed from a slightly different angle. But what really cements Seagal in the trash tier is his complete lack of evolution. While most actors try to challenge themselves with new roles or genres, Seagal has spent decades playing the exact same character, a tough guy with a mysterious past and a grudge. Hayden Christensen. Hayden Christensen is the rare actor who managed to deliver lines about the fate of the galaxy with the energy of someone ordering a lukewarm sandwich. When he showed up as Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars, fans were ready for the rise of one of cinema's most iconic villains. Instead, we got a performance so stiff it made C-3PO look emotionally complex. Hayden didn't just act, he paused, stared, and delivered his dialogue like he was trying to solve a math problem written on the back of the script. It's almost impressive. Hayden Christensen is one of the few actors who can make saving the galaxy seem boring. And that's why he has a comfortable seat in Level 1. He didn't just fall to the dark side. He tripped, rolled downhill, and landed in the trash tier. Pete Davidson. Pete Davidson is the modern poster boy for an actor famous not for acting but for simply being himself. When Pete acts, he rarely transforms. Instead, he just shows up as Pete Davidson, no matter the project. His 2020 film The King of Staten Island is the perfect example. The character, Scott Carlin, is basically Pete Davidson with a different name and a slightly worse haircut. He was a directionless, weed-smoking Staten Island slacker dealing with trauma and loss. The movie pulls directly from Pete's real life, from his father's death on 9/11 to his mental health struggles. It's raw, honest, and even moving at times, but let's be real, it's more of a therapy session on camera than a performance. The wild part? His off-screen dating life has more drama, plot twists, and emotional depth than any performance he's ever given. The man is a walking headline machine, and for some reason, Hollywood keeps hoping that charisma will magically translate to screen talent. Spoiler, it hasn't. Maybe one day Pete will break free from playing himself. But for now, he's the definition of personality-driven acting. Level 2. Bad. Arnold Schwarzenegger. The man, the myth, the muscle. There's no denying that Arnold is one of Hollywood's most iconic figures. A bodybuilding legend turned action superstar who became the face of 1980s cinema. But if we're talking acting ability, well, let's just say his biceps have shown more range than his expressions. Arnold's rise to stardom began with Conan the Barbarian in 1982, where his thick accent, minimal dialogue, and complete lack of facial expression somehow worked perfectly. Then came The Terminator in 1984, the role he was literally born to play. A soulless killing machine. His blank stare, robotic walk, and monotone delivery suddenly made sense. It wasn't bad acting anymore. It was method acting. But once you take away the leather jacket and the shotgun, things get dicey. So yes, he's a legend, an icon, and a cultural phenomenon. But from an acting perspective, he's a lovable slab of charisma trapped in a permanent state of emotional stiffness that earns him a solid spot at Level 2. Sylvester Stallone. Sylvester Stallone has been grunting, squinting, and punching his way through Hollywood for nearly 50 years, proving that you don't need clear diction or emotional nuance to be a legend, just really good biceps and a training montage. He shot to fame with Rocky in 1976, a movie so heartfelt and iconic that people forget the best acting choice Stallone made was just being himself. After Rocky, Stallone discovered a formula that worked and never let it go. Every movie since has been some variation of man grunts, punches something, looks sad, punches something else. From Rambo to Cobra to The Expendables, Stallone's range goes from slightly angry to very angry. But here's the thing, Stallone isn't terrible. He's just bad in a very consistent way. You always know what you're getting with him. A rugged, mumbling warrior with a heart somewhere beneath all that muscle. And while that formula has made him millions, it's also what keeps him stuck in level 2. Jean-Claude Van Damme, the muscles from Brussels, another 80s action icon who could kick a man through a wall but couldn't deliver an emotional line to save his life. Just like Stallone and Schwarzenegger, his stardom came from physical ability rather than dramatic acting. Van Damme's career kicked off with a glorious montage of flying kicks and slow-motion sweat in Bloodsport, Kickboxer, and Universal Soldier. He wasn't cast for his line delivery. He was cast because watching him kick people in the face was cinematic poetry. But when it came to actual acting, his performances were about as flexible as a steel beam. That's not to say Van Damme didn't try. In the 2008 movie JCVD, he actually surprised audiences with a raw, self-aware performance, playing a fictionalized version of himself, struggling with fame and failure. In one powerful scene, he delivers a monologue about fame and regret that's genuinely moving. For a brief, glorious moment, the man who once karate kicked a snake made audiences feel something other than secondhand embarrassment. Critics even praised it, calling it the best acting of his career. But the sad truth is, one good performance doesn't erase a lifetime of wooden ones. Level 3, mid, Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt is the definition of a perfectly fine actor. Not great, not terrible, just there. He went from the lovable goofball Andy Dwyer in Parks and Rec to Hollywood leading man almost overnight. And ever since then, he's basically been playing variations of the same charming dude who makes jokes character. Whether he's piloting a spaceship in Guardians of the Galaxy or running with dinosaurs in Jurassic World, Pratt brings the same energy every time. A slightly confused man who somehow ends up in charge of things. What lands him squarely in the mid-category is his range, or the noticeable lack of it. He's great when the role calls for comedy, quips, or general himbo energy. But the moment a scene demands deep emotion or real dramatic weight, you can literally see him searching for the correct facial expression like a kid flipping through Pokemon cards. His serious faces always look like he's trying to remember his next line. Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage, the man who can oscillate between subtle genius and complete chaos in a single breath. Cage has one of the most distinctive acting styles in Hollywood, which is both a blessing and a curse. Sometimes it works brilliantly. Sometimes, well, it lands him squarely in mid. Cage rose to fame with films like Moonstruck, where his quirky charm was captivating, and Raising Arizona, which showcased his comedic timing and physicality. Later, Leaving Las Vegas in 1995 earned him an Academy Award for Best Actor, proving he could deliver performances of real depth and emotion. Yet, just as often, he stars in films that feel like he's ad-libbing his way through a paycheck. Ghost Rider, The Wicker Man, and Mom and Dad showcase moments of over-the-top expressions, odd line delivery, and baffling choices that leave audiences scratching their heads.
I'm not retiring.
Yeah, right.
I'm not retiring.
Hey.
What makes Cage a mid-tier actor is inconsistency. On his best days, he can be transformative, raw, compelling, and utterly absorbing. On his worst days, he's wild, strange, and detached from the story, turning every scene into an eccentric performance that overshadows the plot. Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds is what you get when charm and sarcasm do all the heavy lifting for your acting career. The man is effortlessly likable, quick with a quip, and somehow makes even terrible scripts entertaining. But underneath all that humor, his actual acting range is not so much. Reynolds shines in comedies or movies that lean into his sarcastic, self-aware persona, but ask him to deliver a heavy, dramatic moment, and it's like he's reading someone else's lines at a party, distracted, slightly confused, and kind of funny by accident. Movies like Deadpool and The Proposal make you forget that Reynolds isn't exactly transforming into his characters. He's basically Ryan Reynolds playing Ryan Reynolds, who happens to be a superhero or romantic lead. Level 4. Okay, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise isn't just a movie star. He is the movie star. The man runs more in one film than most of us do in a year, and he's been sprinting through Hollywood for nearly 4 decades without breaking a sweat from Top Gun to Mission. Impossible. Cruise has built an empire powered by pure adrenaline, dazzling smiles, and an unwavering commitment to doing things no sane insurance company would ever approve. And let's give him credit. He's the real deal when it comes to dedication. He hangs off planes, climbs skyscrapers, and probably wrestles gravity for breakfast. You can't say he doesn't earn his paycheck. Watching him do his own stunts is half the reason people buy tickets. The other half is to see if this is finally the movie where he breaks every bone in his body. Now, about his acting, it's good, solid, dependable. But let's be honest, Tom Cruise doesn't become his characters. His characters become Tom Cruise. Whether he's a fighter pilot, secret agent, or futuristic cop, he's always got that same intense guy who drinks too much coffee energy. Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt is Hollywood royalty, a man so famous that even people who don't watch movies know his face. He started off as the ultimate Hollywood heartthrob, the guy your girlfriend would mention way too often during the 90s. Early roles in Thelma and Louise and Legends of the Fall made him the poster boy for flowing hair and brooding stares. Critics back then weren't sure if he was an actor or just a really good-looking guy who showed up on set accidentally. Over time, he showed a commitment to developing his craft. In Fight Club, he underwent intense physical preparation with boxing and conditioning, delivering a performance that combined charm with psychological depth. His portrayal of Tyler Durden proved he could be more than just a handsome face. But here's why he still lands in the okay tier rather than higher. While Brad can be compelling, he rarely disappears entirely into a role. In many of his films, you still see Brad Pitt, the actor, before the character. Even when he's playing a burnout stuntman or an aging assassin, he's still somehow effortlessly cool, which is both his greatest strength and his biggest weakness. You can count on him to elevate a movie, but not necessarily redefine it. Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson is one of those actors whose presence alone can elevate a scene, even if the script isn't doing him any favors. There's no denying his charisma, that commanding voice.
Everybody strap in! About to open the fucking window.
The intensity in his eyes, the way he can make a single sentence feel like a life or death ultimatum. But here's the thing, Jackson often leans on the same angry, assertive, slightly intimidating energy across roles. Whether he's hunting bounty in Pulp Fiction, leading a heist in The Avengers, or yelling at some poor henchman in a Marvel film, it's essentially the same performance with different costumes. That repetition is what keeps him in level 4 rather than higher. Still, there's a reason directors keep casting him. Samuel L. Jackson makes movies better just by showing up. His acting isn't always transformative, but it's dependable, memorable, and highly enjoyable. Level 5. Good. Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger was one of those rare actors whose presence demanded attention, even when he wasn't the focus of the scene. He had a natural intensity and charisma that drew audiences in, making his performances consistently strong. From A Knight's Tale, where he proved medieval jousting could be sexy, to Brokeback Mountain, where he turned emotional repression into an art form, Ledger showed range that most actors can only dream of. He could go from cracking jokes in armor to silently breaking hearts in a cowboy hat, all while making it look effortless. Of course, his most iconic performance came in The Dark Knight, where he completely transformed into the Joker. Ledger's commitment to the role, from studying criminal psychology to developing the character's eerie voice and mannerisms,
I don't want to kill you.
elevated him into near legendary territory. This performance demonstrated not just his talent, but his willingness to push boundaries and inhabit complex, challenging characters. Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves is one of those actors who doesn't need to yell, overact, or contort his face into 1,000 expressions to make an impact. This is mostly because his calm, understated style does the job for him. He can go from quietly brooding in John Wick to delivering awkward yet endearing lines in Bill and Ted without ever breaking character, which earns him a solid level 5. His acting isn't flashy, and he's definitely not a method actor transforming into another human being, but he consistently brings sincerity and likability to his roles. Where Keanu truly shines is in action and sci-fi films. Watching him move in The Matrix or go on a quiet rampage in John Wick is like watching a man finally at home in his element. He's dependable, grounded, and somehow manages to make even the most absurd scenarios feel believable. Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp has built a career around eccentric and unforgettable characters, often choosing roles that stray far from the typical leading man mold. From Edward Scissorhands to Ed Wood and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Depp has consistently brought a unique blend of quirkiness, intensity, and charm to his performances. He has a knack for making even the strangest characters feel real and memorable, and his portrayal of Captain Jack Sparrow in Pirates of the Caribbean cemented him as a cultural icon. Depp's quirky swagger, unpredictable humor, and inventive Jackisms turned what could have been a standard swashbuckler into one of cinema's most beloved characters. The man turned stumbling drunk pirate energy into an art form, proving that eccentricity can be profitable if you believe in eyeliner and speaking in half-whispered riddles. While off-screen controversies and public disputes have at times affected his career, they haven't diminished his talent. Johnny Depp is a gifted performer whose creativity and eccentricity bring life to every character he tackles. Level 6. Great. Sean Penn. Sean Penn is the kind of actor who disappears into his roles, making it impossible to separate the character from the performance. Over a career spanning decades, Penn has consistently delivered powerful, nuanced portrayals that combine emotional depth with raw intensity. From Mystic River, which earned him an Oscar for making grief look like a full-contact sport, to Milk, where he practically becomes Harvey Milk, Penn proves that subtlety and raw emotion can coexist. If you're willing to let your face do the yelling, even in Dead Man Walking, he's giving sermons through his expressions, balancing quiet vulnerability with the kind of intensity that could probably interrogate a villain just by glaring. What makes Sean Penn a level 6 actor is his mastery of emotional truth. He can make audiences feel every ounce of a character's pain, rage, or hope, all while maintaining a sense of realism. Unlike actors lower on the tiers, he doesn't rely on charm, physicality, or eccentricity. His performances are rooted in fully inhabiting the character's psyche. Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio is what happens when raw talent meets relentless ambition, a combination that has made him one of the most consistently impressive actors of his generation. From the youthful intensity of Romeo and Juliet to the obsessive mania in The Wolf of Wall Street, DiCaprio has repeatedly proven he can disappear into a role while still holding the audience's attention. His emotional range, commitment to character, and ability to carry a film make him an easy pick for level 6. DiCaprio doesn't just act, he immerses. Need a man to portray addiction, greed, or obsession? He'll not only embody the character's flaws, he'll make you feel them viscerally. Yet what keeps him just shy of level 7 is that occasionally even the great ones stumble. A few miscast roles or films that don't let him shine can remind us that no actor is perfect. But when he's at his best, he commands the screen with a force few can rival. Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin Phoenix is the guy who makes you feel like he's living inside his characters 24/7. From the painfully awkward Joker laughs to the silent, haunting gaze in Her. Phoenix doesn't just act, he fully commits, often to the point that watching him can feel like a small, emotional assault. His performances are intense, unsettling, and mesmerizing, the kind of acting that earns Oscars, but also makes you question your own life choices. His emotional range is incredible, but his default setting often screams existential crisis, which can be exhausting for viewers who just wanted popcorn. Phoenix earns level 6 because he's a master of transformation, capable of disappearing entirely into a role while leaving audiences stunned, inspired, or slightly terrified. Level 7. GOAT. Daniel Day-Lewis. Daniel Day-Lewis isn't just an actor, he's basically a wizard who sneaks into a script, casts a spell, and turns himself into someone else entirely. Watching him act is like watching a masterclass in obsession. You don't see Daniel Day-Lewis, you see Abraham Lincoln, Daniel Plainview, or Christy Brown, and maybe also the ghost of every other character he's ever played, just haunting the set quietly. His commitment to craft is legendary. He'll live in character for months, learn every accent, adopt every mannerism, and probably start thinking his co-stars are actually part of his fictional world. On set, he's terrifyingly convincing, which is great for realism. Less great if you're trying to have a normal conversation about lunch. The man makes method acting look like a contact sport where everyone else is just standing awkwardly in the corner. The humor here is that for the rest of us mere mortals, acting is memorizing lines and hoping to look sincere. For Daniel Day-Lewis, acting is a full-on life takeover. He doesn't just disappear into a role, he moves in, redecorates, and occasionally changes the plumbing too. He's terrifyingly good, slightly intimidating, and probably the only actor who makes the phrase "too committed" sound like a compliment. Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson is the guy who makes every room he's in instantly more interesting and a little more terrifying. Over 5 decades, he's delivered performances that are unforgettable, unpredictable, and occasionally a little unhinged. In One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, he played Randall McMurphy with just the right mix of rebellion and vulnerability, earning himself an Oscar and probably a few restraining orders from imaginary hospital staff. Nicholson didn't stop at drama. He conquered comedy and romance too, winning Oscars for Terms of Endearment and As Good as It Gets, proving he could make audiences laugh, cry, and quietly wonder if they should be slightly afraid of him all at once.
My grandmother had more attitude. Police!
With 12 Academy Award nominations over decades, Nicholson has clearly mastered the art of being unforgettable. He didn't just transform for roles, he perfected the art of being Jack Nicholson, a man whose eyebrows, smirk, and occasional menacing glare could probably carry a movie on their own. Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro is a cornerstone of modern realistic acting, setting a standard that has inspired generations of performers. His collaborations with Martin Scorsese produced some of cinema's most unforgettable roles. For Taxi Driver, De Niro immersed himself in the life of a New York City cab driver to fully inhabit Travis Bickle's world. In Raging Bull, he gained an astonishing 60 pounds to portray Jake LaMotta's physical and emotional decline, a transformation few actors would dare. For his portrayal of young Vito Corleone in The Godfather Part 2, he spent months in Sicily mastering the accent and cultural mannerisms, showing a dedication that would later influence actors like Daniel Day-Lewis. De Niro's range is impressive, from the simmering menace of Cape Fear to the gentle humanity in Awakenings, and even the perfectly timed comedy in Meet the Parents. His legacy isn't just about individual performances, it's about pioneering a level of commitment and craft that forever raised the bar for what actors can achieve on screen. And there you have it, the 7 levels of acting ability, from trash all the way up to GOAT. Acting is a spectrum, and every actor has their place on it. Whether it's Pete Davidson playing himself, Arnold Schwarzenegger flexing his way through every line, or Sean Penn and Heath Ledger reminding us why cinema can move us. At the end of the day, it's not just talent that defines these levels, but consistency, risk-taking, and the ability to make audiences believe. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe for movies your ex said were too complicated, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next one.